Welcome back. Thanks for coming. It's the Hotline Show. Today is October 5th, 2025, and it is the 78th episode, I think. I might have said that last week. I think I got it wrong, and then I got it right, and then I got it wrong. I've done this with like every project that I do where I'm counting and I get pretty far along and then I mess up the number and then I'm not sure what to do. Like, do you admit to it? Do you go back? Do you change things? Or do you just move on and it doesn't matter? It's all of those things. And I think we're just gonna go to 80. You ever do that with your invoices? I mean, sometimes like I'm on like invoice like 5,280 or something. It's like a really high number because I started really high because the first invoice I ever wanted to send, I didn't want it to be like invoice number 1. And then I would just skip many numbers ahead, just because like jobs were few and far between and it's like, 50? No, it's the 585th invoice. If you don't know, this is the Hotline Show. People call the number, it's in the description below. They leave a message, they ask a question. Usually it's about photography because I kind of know a little bit about it. I mean, I'm no expert, but it can be about anything. Like, where's your favorite place to go food shopping? Do you go to the local market or do you go to the big box store, Costco, maybe? I hear they have good deals. Trader Joe's. All good stuff. Let me know. Numbers below. Before we get into it today, we've got more pens in the mail. As everyone knows, this is the #1 photography pen podcast on the internet. Thank you, Ignacio from Mexico, sending pens. Ignacio also sent the government pens, which some people are getting. They joined the Patreon. This week, we've got the Pilot Precise Varsity. And it's kind of a juicy, thick pen, just base before we take off the cap. And surprisingly, it's a fountain tip, which it's kind of old school to me. I don't really use fountain tip. Like it's very delicate, which I don't like. I'm a smasher when I write. I'm really imprinting. This is really dainty. It's like you're going to sign a constitution or something. I also remember, I don't know, when I was a kid, like one of my mom's boyfriends used these, and it seems so sophisticated, like very serious. Like this is a serious pen tip. It's just, I don't know. It's not my style. It feels like I could break it at any moment, and it's so thin. Not like I can read anything I write to begin with. I just write things down and then I look and I'm like, what is this word? I don't even know how to spell. On Amazon, this has 4.6 stars out of 5. That's how the reviews work. I think this is it. I don't know. There's a whole bunch, just like every other pen. There's like variations on the pen. But yeah, I mean, Ignacio, thank you so much. Another pen review here. New Patreon members might receive this in the mail. We've got 6 of them. So get in while it's still hot. We got pens. Any studio visit, if you come, you might not buy artwork, but I'm like, please take a pen. Is it branded? No. I just have too many pens. I guess you never know when you might need a pen when all the electricity goes out. Moving right along. Earlier this week, I went up to the Adirondacks. It's peak fall, the color's changing, and the way it happens, it starts from the north and comes south. So it's not even really full peak where I am here, but it was up there, although we would learn that we missed it by about a week. So last week of September, usually up in the Adirondacks is peak, but it was still very beautiful. Now it was perfect weather, perfect, sunny, blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. I mean, I know a lot of people really enjoy that. To me, it's useless. I feel like there's no way to make a good picture in that kind of weather. And for the 2 days I was up there, I just felt really depressed. Like I couldn't make anything. And I even woke up really early to go try to find stuff in the light low. Maybe there'd be some fog. And I did find fog on the first day, but it wasn't really enough. And then once that went away in the patches, it's just blue sky. So what do you do with that? I don't know, nothing. I just kind of sit around and like act sad and wonder like what the point is and when the next moment will happen. But the primary mission was to go to the top of Whiteface Mountain. I'd seen a YouTube video about this a couple weeks ago that talked about Whiteface Mountain.
Fact 41. There's a mountain in New York made of moon rock minerals. Want to touch the moon without leaving Earth? Head to Whiteface Mountain near Lake Placid, the 5th highest peak in the state. But that's not the coolest part. This peak contains anorthosite, the exact same mineral that makes up the lunar highlands on the moon's surface. Think about that for a second. Parts of the Adirondacks are literally more geologically similar to the moon than they are to the neighboring Appalachian Mountains. That's like having a piece of space sitting in your backyard.
It's kind of interesting. Also, you basically can drive mostly to the top and then like hike up an area, or there's an elevator that they carved out. It's amazing. There's like a long tunnel that you walk through and then you can take it up. So if you don't want to hike up, and the hike's not hard, but it is a little bit of grappling. Is that it? Scrapple? You know, when you just kind of bounce between the rocks, but there are railings. So moderate, a baby couldn't do it, but most people probably can if you're fit. Although, I'm totally out of shape. So I was like, my technique is like to walk a little and then pretend I'm going to take pictures, but really I'm just trying to catch my breath before I move on. I really should work on my cardio because it's a little bit embarrassing because it's not hard to do, I don't know. But once up there, beautiful, stunning view. I mean, I highly recommend it. It's great little trip to go to the top. And what do you take pictures of? I was hoping maybe there'd be some drama somewhere happening, but there wasn't. It's just like sun. My main goal was to just do some of my long video takes, just things happening from my Kalina channel, and just chill. Just put up a camera, let it roll video, wait. But of course, when you're just like looking at a blue sky, nothing happens and it's just a bright sun. So that's kind of a boring video. Nothing's clouds moving. Like that's, at least there's some interesting elements that are changing. But if you're just pointing at a view and it's blue sky, I don't know, it just wasn't really much for me to do. And I ended up looking at the crowds, and it was so interesting, like the people who made the journey to the top. And I think there was like a camera club that was on a trip, because there was a number of people who had like, not their phones, they had like gear. They had their tripods, they had their camera bags, they had DSLR cameras. Maybe I saw one Fuji medium format, but it was mostly, the Canons and the Nikons. Saw a guy with a neutral density filter, but everyone like sat on a tripod and they were making pictures of the view. And I'm just kind of like, what are they going to get out of this? Like, what's the point? Other than it being a hobby and it's fun. And photographer like creates adventure. So it gave them a reason to go and explore something, which I think is very valid and very good. But I'm watching these people take pictures and I'm like, none of those pictures are going to be good. It's just, I know. I've taken enough pictures to know what a good picture is going to be. And considering how the light was in that moment in time, like, they just weren't going to get anything. I'm not trying to yuck a yum, but like, what is this guy doing? What picture comes out of this? I took a similar photo and I know it's a memory, I guess. A time to learn with friends. I heard some of them discussing f-stops. And I was like, that's very interesting behavior. And Sure, you should stop down there, definitely. But the tripods, right? Do we need tripods? We're not shooting ISO 50 film here and 4-second exposure. Our modern cameras do not really require tripods. And I've been thinking a lot about the tripod because the tripod's super annoying on many levels. I mean, I carry one because work that I do often does require it. But a bright sunny day, you don't need a tripod. You really just don't. I don't know if it's like when you're buying a camera for the first time, they sell you one, but there was some carbon fiber here, much like golf. You know, you get into it and then you just buy the most expensive stuff. Maybe not the most, but almost, so you feel like you're really going to be taking your hobby seriously. But you also just don't need that kind of equipment. And then what are you going to do with the photos when you're done? Who are you going to show it to? Who cares? You ever show people your vacation pictures? Do you think they find them interesting? Maybe. As long as everyone had a good time, that's all that matters. And same for me, because at the end of the day, maybe I got a picture, 1 or 2 pictures that I think is decent, and I made this video. So in the end, I guess it was worth it. We got one call today. Marty, what's up?
Hey Noah, it's Marty. So I'm out on this island. I'm walking this beach right now on a shoot. And I thought I'd ask you a question about survival. So if you were a castaway on an island, let's say it's a tropical island, how long do you think you would survive? And what would be some of your tactics for survival? You know, what would you do first? What would be, you know, the things that you would, you know, get together for food? And how would you catch food? And, you know, knowing you and how good you are in the wild and survival tactics, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks? I don't know. Curious your thoughts. All right, see ya.
Marty, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I wonder what beach you're at. You're always flying around the world photographing hotels. That's sick. Love that. Great stuff. Amazing. You said I'm good in the wild. Not true. I did do a book called Cabin Porn. 10-year anniversary, literally, almost to the day. 10 years ago that book came out. Can you believe it? A lot of those cabins and just being outside in the wilderness, it's sort of like you drive up and then it's like just over there. Only one in that book was a real hike and backpacking in and camping, which is definitely fun. And I think, everyone should do that kind of stuff as much as they can, if they can, or if they're interested. Sort of fallen out of like enjoying that. Like when I was younger, I mean, I certainly love being outside, but like the effort of the hike and then the camp, it just like doesn't really like excite me anymore. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It's because I've become older and just more comfortable like sleeping on a bed when there aren't like weird smells and bugs on my face. It's a time and place for all of that. And, every now and then, maybe I'd do it again. Couple nights camping. And you get together with your friends and you sit around a fire and you talk about stuff. Hey, how you been? How's the family? Oh, that's great. Yeah, I've been all right. Same old, same old. She did what? No way. So your question, if surviving on a desert island, there's a lot of factors here, right? Like, is it a desert island? Not my ideal scenario. I don't want to be on a desert. I'd rather be like lost in the woods in the north. It would very much be like Castaway, that movie, I think, where I'd be frustrated and upset and angry. First things first, you got to figure out how to get a fire going. Fire and shelter. That's first step. You're going to get cold at night and you need something to prevent yourself from getting wet. So you got to work on that. Scope out the scene. Make sure, see what's around. Is there any plants that you can eat? Are we going to have to go fishing? That's going to be tough. We're going to get hungry real fast. We're going to get thirsty. It's going to be really rough. Would it just be a couple weeks? I mean, I think I would eventually starve to death. And then as you get more hungry, you can't move as much. You get more desperate. And then I'd probably just end up laying there, eventually falling asleep and dying. It just depends, right? Like, what kind of gear do we have? Are we like rummaging through like a crashed airplane and trying to find what we can use to survive? Is there a volleyball? Is there an ice skate? I don't want that to happen, and I hope it never does. I hope the collapse isn't coming. I could probably live here a couple months for sure, just with what I have around, eggs, what's left in the freezer, a generator, so like off the grid, like in a home, you could definitely make it last longer. But then you really, desperate times, you're going to end up having to hunt, do stuff like that. It gets real scary. It gets upsetting to think about. And then you start thinking about, well, then you don't have any oil left. You don't have any butter, salt, pepper, all that goes away. And then everything's just like as is. There are no spices. Marty, I hope that helps. Good luck out there. I can't wait to see the photos. I'm sure they're amazing. That's the show for today. Thank you so much for coming. If you're still here, I appreciate it. Do this stuff. Like, subscribe. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/The Hotline Show. Giving away stuff. Depending on the tier, you might get something in the mail. It's real fun. I also post extra videos there from time to time. Lately, we've been talking about selling out and dirty money. Stuff we don't really want to put super public. But it's good stuff, I think. It's me rambling on about stuff you might have never considered. Also, before we go, I was doing this hike, and I showed up at the parking lot, and there was a Cybertruck in the parking lot. Look at this thing. When you see a Cybertruck like this, it's like a black cat crossing your path. It's a bad omen. Feels like the rest of the day is going to be cursed. I didn't do the hike here. I was too scared. I didn't know who I was going to run into after that. These cars will ruin your day when you see them. I love looking back at old pictures, seeing the cars. It's the kind of can place the era that the photo was taken. Taking photos of cars, price of gas, just classic photography stuff that I think you should always take more than you think you should of, because they can be boring pictures at first, but when you look back 15, 20 years, you're like, wow, that brings me back. I remember that era. I think we're gonna look at this truck in these photos and be like, that was the beginning of the end. See you next week. Maybe.